also on the negative side, along with Mike. I agree that Puerto Rico should not become the 51st state. Just to start off, a quote from one of the lawmakers, Representative Luis Gutierrez of Puerto Rico. He said, maybe these 4 million American citizens don't want to become a state because they love their language, because they love their culture, because they love their idiocracies, because they love applauding their Olympic team, because they have so many Miss Universities that come from Puerto Rico. Gutierrez also mentioned that a proponent of the independence for Puerto Rico observed leading up to the House vote that Puerto Ricans rejected the statehood in votes 1967, 1993, and 1998. I mean, what's going to change now since they've already failed it 3 times? Even Governor Amabel Isidro Villa said his people are better off the way they are now. In addition to costing the U.S. taxpayers more than $30 billion a year, we will be adopting a state where only 20% of its residents speak English. The per capita income is half that of Mississippi, which is our poorest state. Unemployment rates in Puerto Rico is about 16.5%, and the layoffs in public sectors continue. The average interest rate in the state is only 5 to 6%, whereas in the USA it is anywhere from 8.5 to 12%. Given that the majority of Puerto Ricans do not favor statehood, and in fact voted against it in the last 3 times that it's been voted on, there are strong reasons to rethink that the bill will not the least of which are the more $3 billion annual costs to American taxpayers, cultural decisiveness, and long-term political consequences. Before further action is taken, supporters of H.R. 856 should be asked to identify for the American public the budget cuts necessary to offset the multi-billion-dollar impact of this legislation. Moreover, they should explain why Congress should invest the time and money to push a referendum of the statehood for Puerto Rico when a majority of the Puerto Ricans have not come for it. Congress should realize that creating another state through the H.R. 856 could significantly alter the future political and economic course of America. If Puerto Rico is elevated to statehood, it elected representatives into Congress will be more likely to favor further expansions of entitlement benefits. Their presence could tilt the balance of power away from the physical conservatives battling to trim the bloating welfare state. This would be a significant step backwards in a long-term struggle for limited government, free market economy reforms, and expanded individual freedoms. Today, only about 40% of Puerto Ricans support statehood, according to the island's most heavily circulated paper, El Nuevo Dia. As a state, Puerto Rico would be eligible to participate in all federal social programs at a projected annual cost of more than $3 billion in the new federal expenditures form, welfare, and entitlement program, according to the 1990 Congressional Budget Office study. Administration estimates of increased annual federal outlays in Puerto Rico were to become a state include $1.2 billion in Medicaid, $800 billion in supplement security income, and $620 million in food stamps and other things. In an article on heritage.org by Robert de Posada, he says that Pete Marwicki's study of economics and physical impacts of Puerto Rican statehood indicated that over a forecast from 1992 to 2000 period, the net cumulative cost to the U.S. government would be between $22.3 billion to $25.9 billion. Puerto Rico per capita income is in 1992 was $6,428 less than the per capita income of the poorest state in the United States, which was Mississippi. Currently, its residents are exempt from paying federal income taxes. As residents of the U.S. state, Puerto Ricans would be subject to federal income tax, but the increased tax revenue would be eclipsed by projecting increases in federal payments to the island's residents. For example, a 1996 U.S. General Accounting Office study estimated that over 59% of Puerto Rican taxpayers who filed individual returns would qualify for an earned income credit for a total cost of $574 million. If the estimated addition for the earned income tax credit that could be claimed by non-legal, non-filling residents are included, federal tax collected from Puerto Rico would not even cover its earned income tax credit payments. Also on the language issue, establishing English as the official language of this Spanish-speaking nation would generate cultural diversions similar to those challenging the French-speaking people of Quebec and the rest of Canada. Fewer than 20% of Puerto Ricans speak English fluently. According to a 1990 U.S. Census, this was confirmed by a June 1999 survey conducted by the polling firm American Viewpoint. In fact, a July 1997 study by Cragen Research and Associates found that 76% of Puerto Ricans think it is unacceptable having English as their official language. Okay, and Matt talked about the military issue, and he said he had additional information on the military, but he repeated pretty much everything he'd said and had one additional fact, which is about the World War I.